Awesome. Looks like we have a full house today. I'd like to welcome everyone today. My name is Stuart Blumenthal. I'm the Intact Practice Director here at ETHOSystems. And today we're going to be talking about working with project contracts. This is a fairly new area within Sage. It got released about a year ago, and it really is designed to replace the contracts area that people were entering into order entry. And what you'll see today is entering in, we're going to go through entering in project contracts, talk a little bit about the whole workflow within there. And we're going to design this to teach you both how to use it, as well as talk about if you're currently using order entry for contracts, how to migrate over to using that. So we'll be going over both topics today. So just a couple details. The presentation is 30 minutes long, or 30 to 45 minutes. All the phone lines are muted, unfortunately. If you have any questions, please use the questions feature within the GoToWebinar. And last but not least, if you do want a copy of this presentation, just put your email address into the questions feature and I'll make sure that gets sent out to you at the end of the webinar today. So just a little background. Again, project contracts is right off the projects menu, and it was released in 2022, so early last year, and it was designed to replace the order entry process. The reason one of the key areas of using this is that this will allow you to create the famous AIA billing invoice, which can be generated from within Sage Intacct. It doesn't have the copyright information down at the bottom because it's not a 100% replication of the G702 and G703 forms, but it is designed to be able to do that, be able to make it look like that. And it is available in Word, so the template's available in Word. So if you do want to change it, the AIA form, you are able to do so. So as we said, why move to it? One was the AIA billing format. Also, the other major reason to do this is it really works with the change management functions. For those who have been gone into that in a while, the change management functions were released several years ago, and they've really enhanced them with each release. So the ability to actually have both costs and revenue associated to the change orders and be able to tie that back to the project contracts is really ideal. It's an easier process for billings. And I'm actually going to take you through the billing process today to show you how the billing is done within the project contracts area. The fourth option, and I'm always trying to save clients money here, is that you might be able to use a project manager user instead of a business user. So with a business user, you were having to you do everything in order entry, and that really required you to have a business user. The project manager user is really limited to, or is designed to be working in projects and designed to be working in purchasing. And they just in the last release have added the ability within order entries area. So again, from a licensing point of view, we might be able to use a project manager user instead of a full business user. Especially on this one, please talk to your Intacct consultant, your Intacct reseller, and make sure before you just make that assumption, making sure that what other functions they're doing. But again, if we're trying to save you some money here, that might be a possibility. The next top feature is, or next bullet point is Sage is focusing on all development on the revenue billing area in there, and that's really important. And I'm going to skip right to the next one, the last one, which is Procore, which a lot of companies are using Procore and Sage Intacct because of the integration being so strong from a purchasing area, all the commitments and subcontracts being brought over from Procore into Intacct. Procore is releasing the revenue side, and now it's going to be done with project contracts. The target date is Q2, meaning the April through June timeframe of 2023. So some of the stuff that was developed in here was for the use of Procore, to make sure that Procore and Intacct can talk very closely together. And as we said, the second last, the ability to see additional information all in one place in the billing details tab. One of the other things that Sage is really working on is trying to give clients this 365-degree view of all their information. This was done and added in the last release a little bit, and I'm going to point that out to you. You're also more than welcome to go on our YouTube channel and look at our Q1 release notes and webinar that was put on by Olivia. But you'll see that you'll be able to start really getting more information by being in the project contact screen, and we'll talk about that when we get into that screen itself in a moment. So if you're using project contracts today, if you're one of our clients that are using project contracts today, great, congratulations, that's awesome. If you're one of our clients that are currently using order entry for their contracts and for their change orders within there, you want to start coming up with a process of how do you bring that over? And these are some of the things you want to think about. So first of all, what we've done for several clients that we have moved over to this is that we recommend setting any new projects up under project contracts and finishing their old ones up under order entry. I know it's not ideal. So that means might be pulling information from two different areas, but it does make it a lot easier to start with all new projects in the project contracts area. Couple notes, project contracts do not post to a custom book. So the way that a lot of our clients here at Ethos has been set up is that if you're using order entry for your contracts, what we're doing is that we are hitting a contracts GL book that allows us to help sometimes produce a WIP report a lot easy, some of our financials based upon that. But what it does is that we hit that book when we post the contract, and then when you invoice it, it's reversing that out from the contract. So you can always see where your balance is. Project contracts itself does not use a custom GL book. It uses a budget instead, which is really the right way of doing it. So again, that might, depending upon your financials and some of your reports, that's something we do need to take in consideration. So getting into the third point, you might have to redesign some of your custom reports and financials since they're being pulled from two different areas. One other thing that I will tell you is that when we go into the system in a moment, if you don't see project contracts on the system, there could be two reasons why. The first one is that you might not have given yourself security rights to it. Since this is a new module, when they add, or a new, not module, but a new screen, those are not automatically added to people's roles, existing role security. So again, you might not see it because your roles were set up prior to this option being turned on your system. The other option is that when we get into this, you'll see is that you have to scroll down on the menu screen, and we have talked to Sage about it, and hopefully they'll expand it. But at this point here, it's because it's so far deep into the menu options. And so if you have every option available, which in my screen you do, you might not be able to see it just when you click on that projects area. So again, I'll show you that in a moment. So what I'm actually going to do is actually go through a demo of project contracts, go into the screen because I'm done with PowerPoints, go through the invoice generation, and then last but not least, go into the AIA billing output and talk about how that is done at that point. So with that, let me switch into my good old Intacct. And so I'm going to turn off the sales demo toolbar up top here. And so when I go into here, if I go into projects, if notice that again, if I click on this and I actually scroll down, I was already scrolled down, but if you click on projects, you might not see project contracts at the very bottom down there. So that's why, again, that's why I tell you, make sure you actually see it down there and scroll down there at the very, very bottom. I'm going to go into this option at this point here. And when you come in here, you'll see I have a contract set up. One of the first things that people have asked us is that we have the ability to import into here, and the answer is yes. So it is a two-step import. You do have to import the project first, and then you have to import the project lines. If you have any questions about importing, please contact your Intacct consultant. Here at Ethos, we've got a few templates that are already predefined that will hopefully make your imports a little bit easy into the system. because I'm in here, I'm going to click on the edit button, and I'm just going to use my existing contract. So what you'll see here is that when you're setting up a contract, you have a project contract ID. This is the actual ID of this contract. You have the project or the contract name and the actual project it's associated to at that point. What is the contract date? We actually had different types of contracts. I've set mine up just simply as an AIA billing contract, but you could set up different contract types such as time and materials, fixed fee, things like that, progress billing at that point. You'll see that it does set up some of the other fields that are needed. So some of you have been setting up custom fields in the project for the architect, for example. That's in here. And then we also have the ability for the attachments area and is this a billable project or not. Here we have our summary. And then under this is a new feature that just got released in R1. So that would have been 2 months ago. Actually, sorry, I take that back. Last month is that the ability to post this to the general ledger as a budget. So you can turn that on, and then you can say what budget do you want each of these things to go to. So again, that is that posting so that we can create your WIPs reports and some of your other reports within the system. So this is a great feature that was added. We have some additional information here, such as the ability for the scope, what's the effect on the scope, the scheduled impacts, things like that. So there's a bunch of date information in here for internal, external, scheduling, and scope. And then what we get down to is we get down to our SOV, our schedule of values, and the ability to enter this in. So this can be as many lines as you want. You can go through here and choose if it's a time and materials, time and materials or progress billing, things like that. Now, when you're setting up a project the first time, if you come down here and you don't see the little magic add button, it's okay. Hit save and then go back into that project. So again, if you don't see the add button, click on the save button because it needs to save the header information first before you get into the line information. And then what you're going to do is hit the add button on that to add each line. Now, when you see my lines here, I have 0, 1 through 9 here. What we do recommend is that if you want these to print out in the specific order, make your line numbers, if you have up to 99 lines in a project, make your line, the first set 01, 02, 03 through 09, and then do 10 through 99. If you, for some reason, you decide to have a lot of lines in your projects, like hundreds, what you want to do is do 001 through 009, and then 010 through 099. Again, that 0 is used because the field sorting, this is actually a alphanumeric field, not a text, not a numeric field, and so zeros come in front of the number. So again, if you want it to sort right, make sure you do that. I'm going to hit edit on one of my lines here just so that I can take a look at it. And when you're in this little pop-up screen here, one of the things that I love to do is that I hit the little expand button here, the maximize button. It allows me to see that whole screen. It's a lot easier to see that information. If you want to shrink it back down, just click on the same button again. But again, easy navigation there. So keep in mind that once a line is set up in the system there, you can delete it, but you cannot change the line ID. So again, it's going back into this whole concept of the line numbering. Again, make sure you set it up right to begin with at that point. Anything with an asterisk is a required field. So as you go through each of the line, it's going to ask you what the line name is, the description, the line date, the GL account that this is hitting, the retainage, again, any attachments you might have on that line, and the status. As we scroll down a little bit here, what we have is the ability for what type of line is this? Is this a progress billing or a time and materials? Obviously, when we go through the billing areas, time and materials are going to be pulling from the hours and costs that have been brought in from the rest of the system. So bringing your time into Sage Intacct, if it's you're bringing it in using the time and expense module directly, using the Sage Intelligence app that's available for free from Sage, that's the mobile app. You can also, import that time in from your payroll system if you're using products like Workforce Go, ADP, Procore, exporting it out, possibly even like products like service products as well. Here's a little summary of it, but let's go down. So the next thing that it's going to ask us is making sure we got the right division or the right dimensions in there. So again, the customer, the location, the project, and the and the item being billed at that point. I will tell you that it is annoying. We have, putting the project in again, the project name in, and or choosing the project in again. I have asked to have that defaulted. We do have some ways of doing that within our smart rules, but again, you do put the project in there. And then what we end up doing is this is where we put in our entries of what we're charging. So we can put in our originals. We can also put in the different workflow types. So this originally I put in $10,000 against general requirements on this specific date. Now, one of the other things that you're able to do is you can link your change orders to this specific line, which again is going to help with your AIA billing and make sure that everything is right. So I created a change order that went against that specific line. So originally was 10,000. We have a change order for another $10,000. So if I look at the very top of that line, you'll see that total revised. Sorry, it should have said 20,000. I think I made a mistake there. But anyway, it's supposed to add those two together. In fact, it does show that on the other screen. I'm not sure why that's not showing there. You can always duplicate a line. So one of the things that's really nice is the ability to duplicate a line, as well as you can duplicate an entire project. But this duplicate, if you get the first one, hit the duplicate button, it makes your life a lot easier at that point. I'm gonna hit the cancel button and I'm gonna go back to my project here. So you see my total revised price of that line was $20,000. Just like anything here, I can edit the line like I did, or I can delete the line if there is no activity associated to it. And this is what the statement schedule of values looks like here. Again, I do have the ability to duplicate the entire project. Now, I did talk about this whole billing details area. So again, original contract, approved change price for a total of $2,189,000. And you can see what I've been billed here and my retainage balance here and any total payments received. What's nice is that these numbers are easily reportable through the custom reporting tool, through ICRW, so you can get this information pretty easily. But if you go to the billing details tab, a lot of times people are like, okay, great, it's the summary information. But what's nice is down here now below, I can actually see each of the invoices that have been associated to this. So I can now bring up that invoice, go right into that invoice and see that amounts right then and there. So a lot easier. Instead of having to go out to another tab, it's now the ability to drill down into the contract invoices. I can also look at any of the retainage invoices that I might have had applied against this, as well as any payments received down in this grid. So again, this whole ability so I don't have to go to multiple areas, I can go right into the contract and hit that information right there. So in a lot of ways, you're going to set up the project first, and then you're going to set up the contract and really stay within the contract, not within the project. So with that, I'm going to see if there's any questions. I don't see any questions yet regarding the actual project contract screen. Either I've gone really too fast, or I've gone thoroughly, or everyone's asleep. I'm going to hit cancel at this point here, and I got my project contract. So now the next question is, I'm ready to bill for this. How do I do that? So what you're going to do is that you're going to go to the screen here, generate invoices. What this allows us to do, and I always star my favorite ones here because then I'm able to see them very quickly over here. But again, going back to my generate invoices right here. I'm going to come in here, and a lot of people are like, well, this doesn't apply to me. Well, now with project contracts, they really leverage this information. So the first thing that you really want to do under here is you want to click on project contracts. What that does, if you notice that before it was set to customer or project, if I choose project contract, it's going to come up and say, what is the template that I'm going to use, which in this case here, I'm going to use my AIA billing template, which we're going to create that AIA bill. So again, make sure I have my project contract. I'm going to choose my contract that I'm going to bill at this point here. And then most importantly, what is the through date? I always seem to forget that, but my bill through date. And then one of the last features down or questions down here is that when it generates the invoice, do you want it to generate as a submitted and posted invoice in the system, or do you want to be able to leave it as a draft mode, which means that you need to go back over into the AIA billing area, in order entry, which I'll show you, and actually then post it from there as an extra step. Some people want to go in there, make changes possibly, look at it and approve it before they do that. Other people just want to post it right away. That's 100% up to you. At this point here, so we have chosen project contract, got the right date, and I'm going to hit the preview button at this point here. This screen does take a couple seconds longer for it to pop up. I have noticed that, so just FYI from that aspect. And this is going into the process of generating our invoices. So just one thing that's important, I know some people have asked this, is that you cannot assign the invoice number from here. It's automatically generated. So some people are like, oh, I want to be able to generate the invoice, override the invoice number. It doesn't do that. You have to let it auto assign the invoice number in here. So it's asking us the invoice date, payment terms, what is our due date, the billing address, and the shipping address. A lot of people, one of the things that, again, when we're setting up projects, we do recommend using the shipping address as where the job location is. And you're like, wait, why is that? That's for sales tax purposes. So sales tax is becoming more prevailing or more prevalent within the construction area. So again, make sure you have your ship to contact set correctly at the project. So therefore, if you do need to charge sales tax, that's done correctly there. If you want to automate sales tax, we have done things with Avalara. We have a whole webinar on that if anyone's interested. It's on our YouTube channel, and we've gone through a thing on Avalara at that point. We could put an invoice reference, an invoice message. The next thing that is coming down here is the current billing application number. So we can see that I have done, the last one was 6. So I can now come in here and say, this is my application number 7 at that point. And then down here, this is where you can come in and choose what are you billing at this point here. So if I scroll this over, should look very, very familiar to your common AIA billing at this point here. So I can come in here and say, you know what, completed this period, $1,000, and notice that it will update my percentage completion. I can also play around and say, you know what, I want to make that 35% completed, and it will then update the completed this period. So you can either enter a dollar or a percentage at that point. You can enter your stored materials as a dollar value, and then you can also see retainage to bill this period. This is a new feature. So for those who maybe implemented this previously, but this is a new, so how much do you want to release of how much of the retainage do you want to bill this period? So this is new. Love this field there. And then we can see if I'm having any retainage, again, brings those percentages over. So in essence, by doing this, adding 1%, we are billing, we're billing $5,600 at this point here. So again, this is a new feature that's in the system that people have asked for because people did not want to have to create a completely separate retainage bill. I'll make sure there's no questions. Don't see any at this point here. So as a result, I'm going to click on Generate Invoice. Hopefully no errors, no whammies. And it successfully created AIA billing, CNIV 65 was created at that point. So if I wanted to create another one, I can go through that process again, hit the preview, generate the invoice at that point. It's all good. So what I'm going to do now is this is where I will go back to my order entry area, and I have this set up to all my AIA bills to go under here. So I've set up a specific workflow under here. Notice that there is no plus sign here. Part of the reason is that you, because these are automatically generated, you cannot create an AIA manually. It has to be done through that generation invoice process. One of the other things that's really important is that when you set up this transaction definition here, if I go into my transaction definition, you'll see that there is a box about halfway down. It says enable project contract billing. This needs to be turned on. So that's how it uses all the secret sauce. So it adds all the additional fields you need to that transaction definition. So going back again into the AIA billing at this point here, you will see the bill that we just generated today. What I like is that it shows my retainage balance at this point, so it added a little bit more to that. And if I hit the view button at this point, because again, remember that I had said that this is now posted in the system, but if I hit the view button, I'm able to see a top here, I'm able to see my retainage held, all my information at that point. Payment status is open. I can come down here, and what I start getting is that billing summary, and then most importantly, here's my AIA, what's been my change order summary information, and then again down here the rest of the information. I am able to click on this, for example, click on show details, and you can start seeing there's a lot more information in here regarding the project contract billing aspect. So this is where all that information, stored materials, anything like that is all stored at the line, in that line level at that point. With this, at this point, also again, that architect, all those are now the fields built in. So when I'm all, and I can also look at my posting details behind this. So I got the AR invoice. I can look at the GL posting, the actual detail of the GL posting. I can look at the history associated to it when it was created, any payments that were applied to this, they haven't done it yet, and any source and attachments as well. I'm going to click on the done button at this point here. And what I'm going to do is hit the print and email button, or print or email button. I'm going to just print this off at this point here. And when I do that, you'll see this is our one that we mocked up a little bit. It has our little logo up at the top. But again, I give that famous AI 702 and 703 form that you're used to seeing. And at this point here, you could have emailed this off directly from within the system. You can download this and send this to them. And again, these are in Word, so these can be changed very easily. We have the ability to change these documents in our system. Nick's been making a lot of changes for clients that have been wanting tweaks. Everyone wants a little bit of a different AIA format. Question came in, if everything is billed using the AIA billing, will it generate project-based AR aging reports as well? So the answer is that there are custom, so one of the things that Sage has been working on is that Sage has been working on out-of-the-box aging reports. They do have the ability to produce an aging report with the project on there. The only thing that is missing on there is the sorry, I'm trying to remember, I'm going to get this backwards here. I think one of them shows retainage, one doesn't, based upon the bill date. There are still some things we need to work out on the billing, but there is a projects report there is an AR billing report by project and an AP billing or AP report by project that you can run in the system. Yeah, it's missing, I think, the retainage field under there for that aging aspect, but we can actually add that to we can add those reports to your system please let your consultant know and we can get those added to your system. Hopefully I answered your question for that one. Please let me know if I did not answer that. Is the contract entry typically done at the root level or the top level? That's really great question here. So usually again, every client's a little different based upon the way that we normally do it. They're done at the company level, or not at the top level. It's done at the entity level. Everyone's a little bit different. So again, depending upon integrations you might have coming on, based upon the way that your workflow is set up. So please, again, work with your consultant. I've seen it actually done both ways. But again, everyone's a little bit different based upon the integrations and based upon their workflows. But in this case here, entity is usually the winner. Hope I got your answer question as well. If they didn't, please let me know. So again, ability to export these out. We've got clients now that take this information, they export this out as a PDF, and then they have Adobe and they can make any additional changes they want. They can have, and again, you could add signatures to this. So if you wanted to add signatures, again, these are things, because it's a Word document, you can make it look closer to the way you want it to. I'm going to close this out at this point here, and pretty much that's it at that point. So we have now created that invoice, and again, I could run my normal AR aging one here that doesn't have project, and then we do have the custom one. I don't think I have it in my system, but I do have a custom one that has the project listed in my aging report. Again, talk to your Sage consultant. Sage has been good. They've been creating these libraries of reports, and as well as we have at Ethos, and the aging ones have been added to the last library. Also, if you're in the community area, you can download them yourself if you're part of the construction group. And it's the last one is version 3 that has all the reports together in there. So I think that answered the questions. Great questions from people today. Great, appreciate everyone paying attention on that. Let me go back to my PowerPoint here because there's a few last things we'll hit. So obviously, if you have any questions, let me know. Just a couple upcoming webinars that we're doing here. So a lot of people have asked for some webinars throughout the month. So next month we're going to be doing some talking about retainage tips and tricks. And then the following month in May, we're going to be going over some change order tips and tricks. And then a couple other ones that are coming up, purchase approvals and AP and general ledger approvals. We're going to be hitting 2 different ones because they're different processes, and we can actually spend a good 30 to 45 minutes on each one of these. So we're going to do purchasing is one, and then AP and general ledger is another one. In there, we also have another webinar on the real estate module that came out. For those who are doing real estate, we have a real estate module that will do all your rent rolls and all that fun stuff. And that we're doing a little tips and tricks webinar on July 13th. Feel free to sign up. For those who got the email, has the links, please sign up in advance. That would be really appreciated. And then we will have another webinar in May on the R2 release, and sometime in August we'll have the R3 release. There is a lot of stuff coming down from the pipeline. The compliance will start being rolled out. Some of the compliance features, which if you have the construction module, will be added to the system. We're really excited about that being released this year. So the compliance module, that'll be released in multiple phases, but that first phase we're really excited about. Any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, what I like to do is thank you. I will stick around for a few extra minutes to answer any questions anyone has. You again use the questions feature, and try to keep this between 30 and 45 minutes, 35 minutes around the dot. And hopefully this was worth your time today. Really appreciate everyone joining. Have a great day.